Hi, I'm Leyla Salvade. Welcome to the Lightstyle interview series. Today I've got Jared Kleinert, a dear friend.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
And Jared is an entrepreneur, an award-winning author, and coming out with his second book, 3 Billion Under 30, in January. Yeah.
Really excited about that.
Excited to have you here.
About to get into the 3 months leading up to the book launch, which is just nuts.
That's
but
exciting.
It is exciting.
Wow.
A lot of hard work up ahead.
So tell us about yourself. Give us a little bit of a background.
Yeah, so I'm from South Florida, which is a very light-infused place. It's also very warm, very different from New York, although we have nice weather right now. It's about to get really cold. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and my parents were the only ones that had a failure that derailed them to like 9 to 5 status or 9 to 7 status, whatever the normal working schedule is now, which keeps like widening. And yeah, so I grew up with all this inspiration of entrepreneurs in my family, many of which had done really well. Parents were a little more normal or middle class, and so I grew up with this desire to replicate the entrepreneurial successes of my family, but no entitlement to any of the fruits of other people's labor, which is great. Like I'm so happy with that setup. That led me to start my first business at 15, which massively failed. I got my real start at 16 when I read this article in Forbes called "The Most Connected Man You Don't Know in Silicon Valley." I reached out to the guy featured, offered to work unpaid in exchange for his mentorship, and that job opportunity led to everything else. Led to like all my work now. It led to most of my network today. It led to the skill sets and the emotional intelligence I have in connecting with people. Probably led me to this couch, and yeah.
It did, yeah. I mean, we met through a mutual friend that you met at South by Southwest.
Yeah, I met Ginny. I said this on another interview I recently did, but I met her wearing banana costumes, and we were setting some sort of, I think, unofficial record for the most amount of people wearing fruit costumes and dancing in the same spot, which perfectly describes Ginny.
Yeah.
So that's how we met, and naturally that story, resonated with you when we first met.
Yes. I mean, how could it not resonate with anybody? It's hysterical.
Yeah, it's like one of those things at a cocktail party where someone's like, "You wore a banana costume and did what?"
What's so incredible is that you say you got your start at 16 years old. I mean, most regular people start maybe, get their first shot around like 22, their first internship or their first job. Tell us about that journey. Like, what made you want to start that early?
Well, like I said, I was inspired by family to want to get started, and then when you are passionate about something, you begin brainwashing yourself with all the industry trade magazines and media and interviews like this in that industry. So I started reading Forbes, Entrepreneur, like anything I can get my hands on. But part of the reason why I think there's such a dichotomy with like how my parents or grandparents were able to start, or what age they were able to start, and where my generation and the generation after me has been able to start, is that it's just more possible than ever before to get started at a young age, right? We have access to the internet, which means we can identify problems to solve faster than ever before. We can propose solutions and get help on creating more articulate versions of those solutions. We can distribute those solutions faster than ever before. And we are subsequently rewarded for anything that is innovative or helps people. And so it's just more possible than ever before to do things at an increasingly younger age, and it's also more possible than ever before to have exponential success and impact in record time. So even if you're getting started at 60 or 70 or 80, you can do stuff in a year or 6 months that maybe it took you 20 or 30 years in the past to do. And to have that sort of financial windfall or impact in the world or whatever you're trying to do, it's easier than ever before to have exponential movement on that.
And would you say that that was due to social media and the boom of the internet?
Yeah, absolutely. It's due to that, but it's really, you got to look further. Like, what does that provide? It provides, like access to seeing problems and potential solutions. Like, we have the total of human knowledge present to us at any given time via a smartphone or anywhere with a Wi-Fi connection, but we also can collaborate with people from around the world. And if you're speaking just from a youth standpoint, we've never had the ability for youth to collaborate with other youth at global scale. That's normally been reserved for governments or major corporations that had the resources to do that. But now anyone with a Facebook group can replicate the same structured communication-wise that governments and corporations have had for decades and generations past. And so then when you talk about distribution, you can get out your message for free on many platforms, or amplify that very cheaply in other ways, and you can even get niche with how you're talking to people. So if you have an issue or you have a message that might only impact 10,000 people, a generation or two ago, it would have been impossible for you to make a living off that or to affect actual change, because it would have been impossible to locate those 10,000 people. But now it is more socially acceptable to be able to voice that you have these very specific needs or these very specific interests and these problems, and then it's easier than ever for the people with solutions, the people with inspirational messages, to speak to and find that source of business or that source of where they can help.
Yeah. What would you say you're most proud of that most people wouldn't be aware of?
I'm pretty transparent, and I'm nothing without my friends and without my mentors. So the network that I've built, but really how I've gone about building those relationships and what those relationships mean to me is probably what I'm most proud of.
Mm-hmm. I see that too. It's so beautiful. Like even when we just met, you were just so inviting, and we kept in contact, and it was a really, I feel that. And
yeah, I mean, and I just celebrated my birthday, and I had maybe 30 or 40 friends come out on a Sunday like brunch time in New York to celebrate, and I would have had another 10 or 20 more if there wasn't a conference going on that everyone was at, but in Boston. But
I would have been there if my mom wasn't here.
Exactly. But it's not even the number of people, it's just the relationship I had with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had people at that party who I'd never met before, but only spoke to in person, and we immediately clicked, and I was able to provide value to them and make helpful connections and move their business forward. There was family there. There was people that I've been friends with for a while. There was newish friends, but all of whom had enough of a connection and cared enough to show up, and so that was pretty cool. And even the people that didn't show up obviously cared and had other plans, but they reached out, said happy birthday, and sent very nice messages outside the normal HBD on Facebook that lazy people do.
That Facebook just tells you it's his birthday, wish him a happy birthday. Yeah.
So that's what I'm most proud of.
That's amazing. So explain to me, you started, I'm so amazed at this 16-year-old benchmark that you described. What was it? Was there some form of experience that you kind of suffered through before that just propelled you to want to be the successful human being that you are?
Yeah, so there was part of why I'm so proud of the network I have now is because when I was 15, I had zero network and actually had an experience where I was pushed to having a negative network. And what I mean by that is when I started my first business at 15, my mom's then boyfriend was helping me out and was mentoring me on my business, and I found out about 6 months into hanging out with him that he'd served time in prison for securities fraud on Wall Street, which we're 10 minutes away from right now. And so I realized at a young age, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I need to surround myself with higher integrity people, also people who have subject matter expertise in what they're trying to help me with. And so that really could have ended the conversation there as far as being an entrepreneur, but that inspired me to actually look for a better mentor. And so when I was reading that article in Forbes called "The Most Connected Man You Don't Know in Silicon Valley," I was like, that's the guy I want to be like, and that's the guy I want to learn from. And so without that first experience, I wouldn't have had the urge to find something better, and that became a staple in building relationships later on. It's I only want to build relationships with high integrity people, want to run away from negativity, and if it's a business setting or a business conversation, the people I want to associate with have to have some technical chops in whatever their field is. So that definitely set up the path for having a more successful relationship building strategy moving forward and having more success, if you want to call it that, But yeah, it was a former white collar convict. It was a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, and then it was a guy who's been dead for decades, and that have all impacted my life. And the third was Napoleon Hill, which actually the first guy who helped me ended up giving me 2 Napoleon Hill books, and he's my favorite author. A lot of the work that he's put out is inspired and translated into business principles I still use, like doing more work than paid for, and things like that. And so those are my big influences growing up, and it's really impacted just how I look at the world, how I build relationships, and my entire work is based off of how I build relationships.
Who's the dead person?
Napoleon Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He wrote Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the top business books of all time. Like, it's probably sold 50 million copies or something like that.
Amazing.
It's like up there with the Bible.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll have to read it.
You got like Tim Ferriss, and then you got like Napoleon Hill, and then you got like God or Jesus or
wow. All
the
right.
disciples, whoever wrote the Bible.
Sign me up. I'll come to that communion.
Yeah.
Wow. Who would you say you contribute your light to the most?
Contribute my light to? Probably my mom. So she's one of the strongest women I know, and just seeing how she raised me and my brother pretty much single-handedly, because my parents got divorced at a young age, and just seeing all the things she went through in terms of how she supported us financially, but also all the relationships that she had, and some of which were not very positive for her, but how she handled that and was stronger coming out of it. It's definitely a good source of inspiration and light.
So beautiful.
And I'm a ginger, so like I'm naturally like just beaming from my hair and my face normally.
You're the special child.
Yeah. And I'm actually a redheaded stepchild because I have like step parents, so
oh, okay.
I'm a legit redheaded stepchild.
Is that going to be like in your bio?
No. Yeah, Jared, entrepreneur, author, TED speaker, and legit redheaded stepchild.
I think you should add it.
That'd be like
It'll
a
add some
Stephen
humor.
Colbert-esque intro.
Yeah, exactly. It adds some humor.
I'm gonna try it.
Credit me for that idea.
Do you want to like retake the intro and now intro me as like the actual redheaded stepchild?
We found him. So with your success at already such a young age, how did your environment adapt to that?
Like what kind of environment? Like a physical environment or?
Family, friends, and then also I know you moved to New York.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty nomadic, so it's definitely been a bigger focus on the network and everything that's not tied to a location. But I would say even in the last 5 years, my friend group has completely changed from like high school until now. I've, really looked to surround myself with mentors, but also with peer mentors who can continuously coach me in the right direction. And when you surround yourself with friends who are doing really ambitious things and who are, sometimes are world class at what they do, it really makes you step up your game. Because you look around and you're like, well, shit, he just raised a bunch of money for his company, and she just competed in the CrossFit Games, and this person did this and this person did that, and it's if you're not careful, you can fall into this deep pit of despair that is comparing yourself to others and expecting to match what you know internally and externally about yourself to what you only see externally about someone else, and only the positive of that. But it does provide a healthy, not competition, but a healthy sense of a new standard. And so that's really important. If I was going to surround myself with the people I surrounded myself in high school, I would probably be drinking at tailgating parties at random party schools across the country. But because I surround myself with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial minds, I'm able to do the same. And I'm looking at how do I improve my health, how do I improve my financial status, how do I make an impact, how do I reach tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people with my work. Like, these are the kind of questions that I'm continuously sparked to question for myself and try and answer because of my friends. And so with that peer mentorship comes mentorship, and I've surrounded myself with better mentors than I had when I just got started, and people that have real subject matter expertise in what I'm trying to learn, whether it's speaking, I have a mentor there, whether it's writing books. I have a couple of New York Times bestselling authors in my wheelhouse. I have people running companies that have raised tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. I have people that are making 9 figures in revenue in a year as mentors. And so these are the kind of people that I've inserted into my life. And then there's people that I ran away from, anyone that's negative or low integrity or selfish with how they want to help me and help my network. That's kind of the people I've ran away from. And so definitely trying to insert more light into my world and go away from the darkness.
Can we say how old you are? Because that
Sure.
is just, okay, so you just turned,
21.
yeah. I mean, this guy is like such an inspiration. You really are.
Thank you. No, I mean, I have, from my first book, I have friends that are still in their teens, and it's just like insane. I mean, all my work revolves around finding friends of mine and peers of mine who are doing incredible work and sharing their stories. And so that definitely keeps me in check and humble when I look at what my peers are doing and what is possible at a young age. And so that does keep me in check. Although you can fall into a trap of when you surround yourself with world-class people and that's like all you know and all you talk to. If you go back into the normal world, which is necessary and very much so. In fact, my girlfriend made a point that I almost need to like mentor other people more and help out and make sure I stay grounded. Not that I have a problem now, but I could foresee it being a problem in the future if I don't be careful. But that's the potential pitfall, is if you're always in utopia or like startup landia or the light, then you might not stay grounded, and you might to a person that isn't in that world, sound like a cocky asshole if you're not careful. So I don't know if this is a PG show or rated R.
It's an open expression
It's an open expression show. Yeah, what if they called movies that were rated R as like open expression movies?
There you go. Oh my gosh, I should totally trademark that. So do you have like a daily practice to keep that balance?
No.
No.
It's
Love your
no,
honesty.
part of having good people in my life is that they will be transparent with me and speak up if I am acting out or if I'm doing things that look weird. So even as early as 17, I've had people privately messaging me on Facebook like, "Hey, what you said there, probably not cool," or like, make sure you don't come off the wrong way. And I, throughout my life since then, I've had, well, throughout my entire life, but especially in these last few years, I've had people be real with me and say, "Oh, you're not taking care of yourself," or, "Oh, you're, not treating that person right," or, "You're not treating this situation right." And so I think that's really healthy. And I actually seek out friends who will call me out on that kind of stuff and say, "Hey, that wasn't cool," or, "That's not right." And that's that's relationship wide, professional, personal, with family. Like, I want people in my life who aren't yes men and women. I want people that are going to give me feedback that's constructive to make me a better person.
They mirror your highest self.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
I'm just gonna like put these little things in there.
I just feel a halo like forming over my head right
Do
now.
have something up there. Mike, would you consider yourself an old soul?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that spiritual, but I'm not against those ideals. We've talked about this before. It's like
yeah.
I'm very open-minded, and
Yeah.
so and I've picked up a lot of new habits and a lot of new mindsets in the last few years, and hopefully will continue to do that the rest of my life. But I think part of why I act the way I do is because ever since I've been 15, I've surrounded myself with people in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so they've really raised me in a sense, like outside of my family. My network and my mentors, my peers that are older, have really taught me everything I know. And so naturally that comes across as me speaking, acting, doing things that come off as someone in their late 20s would do or someone in their early 30s would do. It's just because that's who I've been hanging out with. And so it's definitely led to a lot of learning lessons. It's led to a better life. And that might come off as being an old soul, but I think it's it's partly programming too. If you're going to program yourself in that way, then you'll probably lean towards that.
Right. Totally.
Like part of what I pride myself on is like if I'm speaking, I really I want to be entertaining because it's part of what keynoting is especially, but I also want to provide practical value. I want someone to be able to walk away from a talk or a workshop or whatever and actually have actionable takeaways. And even in my book, I don't want people to read it and then just be inspired and fire it up. I want to give them something to utilize their newfound passion or interest and give them actionable strategies.
Tell us about your book that's coming out.
Yeah, so it's follow-up to a book called 2 Billion Under 20. In 2 Billion Under 20, I brought together 75 world-class late millennials and Gen Zers, people 20 and under at time of writing, in order to get the rest of our generation to act on their passions and really educate older generations on what millennials tick, or what makes millennials tick, sorry. And that book became the #1 entrepreneurship book of 2015, according to Axiom Business Book Awards. It sparked a lot of really good conversation, and we had everyone from like entrepreneurs, Olympians, athletes, singers, scientists. Like we just had this crazy gambit of stories to share. And so 3 Billion Under 30, which is my next book coming out in January, picks up where that last book left off. And we have 75 21 to 30-year-olds, and these are like people who have started companies collectively worth billions of dollars. Their content or their businesses impact hundreds of millions of people a month. And some of them, they range from like the founder of WordPress to the 2-time defending fittest woman in the world, to a Syrian war refugee, to someone who witnessed all the catastrophes on the Gaza Strip and now raises millions of dollars to help people around the world. And what we're seeing in this batch of people is, because of the extra time they've had in the world, they're really taking everything that was possible to the first group of people and was beginning to be implemented by the first group of people, the level of distribution, the level of access, the fact that age is kind of not being cared about as much, and they're able to scale, those successes, scale the impact, things like that, and do things like start WordPress that powers a quarter of the internet, or become a champion athlete, or impact millions of people with content every single week. Like, these are the things that are possible for people in their 20s. And I hope this next book just ends the conversation on millennials, because it's, how do you characterize 80 million US people and billions of people around the world all in one foul swoop? I don't think you can. Instead, I think we should use these 75 outliers, these people who are world-class at what they do, as a case study in how do you have exponential success and impact in record time. Because these people have done what they've been able to do at such a young age, and they have a lifetime still to live and build a legacy. But like I said before, even if you're starting in your 50s, your 70s, your 90s, or if your company's been around for 150 years, how do you take what these people have been able to do in such a short time frame and apply it to your life? So I think that should be the conversation coming out of this book, is not, oh, who are millennials? Like, what do they do? How do they live? I think it really should be like, let's stop talking about millennials and actually use this group as a case study on how to live life exponentially moving forward.
Are you trying to prove that time and space are an illusion?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes. I'm totally for that.
we had some scientists in the first book that built nuclear reactors in the garage, and we definitely have like a nice sciencey, futuristic theme to some of the contributors and some of the content in the books. But yeah, I don't know if time is an illusion, but it's definitely, you can do a lot more time is becoming, you can do a lot more in the time you have now than you've ever been able to. And as far as space, we're increasing the range of possibilities and the places we can go physically, and also, intellectually, emotionally, etc. So maybe space and time are not actually what they seem. Maybe there's something else.
They're bendable.
They're bendable. I agree. I think the possibilities are exponential, but also like the problems our generation and the world faces is exponential. So like the big big goal from all these books and from uniting the voice, the influence, the expertise of some of our generation's smartest, most talented minds is to solve some of these problems. Because as problems are exponential in nature, we're going to need a multidisciplinary approach to solving those problems. And so that's where having a table or a book full or an online community full of subject matter expertise who are all tapped into what they're really good at and what they're passionate about, that's where it's going to come into play from a practical, like saving us from existential crisis level. That's what I'm really working towards, like 10 years, 20 years or more down the line.
That's your big goal.
Yeah, books are just a gateway drug.
It's true. Yeah,
it's really just a gateway drug. Anyone who thinks I'm just an author is like not seeing the bigger picture of.
You're a visionary.
Well, I'm not a visionary, but I'm providing optionality to problem solving by uniting people.
You wouldn't say that's a visionary?
It's a community builder.
Yeah. You need vision to create that community.
I know, but I'd be an asshole if I called myself a visionary. Like,
okay, fine, I'm calling you a visionary. I'm giving you the title.
I appreciate it.
Accept it.
Thank you. I'm accepting it.
How does it feel?
What does it feel like to be a visionary? Let's ask Steve Jobs. Oh, wait, he's dead. Let's ask Elon. Oh, wait, he's busy.
Do you have the direct number to the phone of the president?
No.
Okay, we're screwed. So with this beautiful vision of yours, this big goal, which I resonate so deeply with.
I hope anyone resonates, because otherwise
I
we're all
hope so
going to
too.
die in 20 years or
so
40
too.
years.
No, I mean, that's why,
Or maybe not die, but we're going to, like, obviously we're not heading into the most pleasant of times, and we're going to need a multidisciplinary problem-solving approach to tackling these issues.
Absolutely.
And so I hope it gets people jazzed up. If not, I need to do a better job of getting that, articulation out there. But it should resonate with almost anyone that's human.
I hope so. And I'm totally with you on that same vision and mission in life, which, that's why I have you here, because I love what you're doing, and I honor you for doing that.
Thank you.
Not enough people are. And
thank you for having this awesome setup.
Of
and
course.
I don't know, you guys can't see the rest of this place, but it's amazing. And you can see part of the view, but like we got the Statue of Liberty behind us, and it's just crazy.
Holding her light.
Yeah, holding her light. She's got a lot of style.
Oh yeah, drapes and all. Okay, so Lightstyle, what does that mean to you?
I think it's a way of living life. If it's a style, it's something you can try on and see for yourself how life is going to go if you're positive and if your intentions are good and about helping others. And so that's what I'll take it on to mean. It's how can we provide value to others? How can we build communities, build products, build messages that last beyond us or that can be amplified with the help of others, and let's see what kind of impact or real legacy we can try and make. And even if we don't get there, like having a stab at it is a success in its own right.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here, Jared. It was
Yeah.
an honor having you.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys like this episode of the Lightstyle interview series, please share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to hit subscribe.